Well, the news is coming out fast and furiously right now, as somebody has been identified as the potential mastermind behind everything that happened in Idaho. And more information keeps pouring out that seems to point to not only this being some sort of well thought out, planned activity, but in the weeks that followed, all sorts of red flags. Also, a million new questions. If you followed these people for weeks, why did you leave the two and only get the other four? There must have been some thought process there. There is a wide, the story gets more and more wild as more and more information comes out. Turns out the dude followed them for 4 weeks, and after the event continued to wear gloves in grocery stores. It's hard to imagine. Just where this goes. But I'm going to continue to cover it as long as you all keep telling me you're interested. Make sure you leave a like on the video and you subscribe if you haven't yet, so you get notified each and every time something comes out, someone breaking the case. I'll cover it. So in this particular case, there's just so much going on here that it's just hard to imagine. The man, of course, accused for the horrible things in Idaho was stalking them for weeks leading up to the event and wore gloves in public places even after the event. The man, 28, was fastidious about not leaving his fingerprints behind after the event, even wearing gloves when he entered the grocery store, according to a friend of one of the police officers assigned to follow him there. Looks like that friend was a leak. That's why cops don't talk to other, it's probably not a good idea. Your friend is sharing this information. He's not stupid, and he has been very careful, the anonymous source says. While he was under surveillance in Pennsylvania, according to the source, police witnessed him appearing to try and avoid leaving any more DNA or fingerprints behind by taking protective measures in public. A good friend of ours was one of the cops who had been following him the last couple of days, the source explained. Anonymous pleas, he was arrested only 40 minutes from our home near our aunt and uncle's. Went to school with my cousins. His sister lives in our town. A good friend of ours was one of the cops who had been following him for the past couple of days. He coaches with my husband, and he was telling him all the crazy details. Not a good look for the cop. He followed him into a giant local grocery store and wore gloves the entire time. He's also not stupid and has been very careful. Also, he's been stalking them for weeks. Not sure if they ever interacted, but his cell phone pings followed their every move for weeks. So scary, even disturbing. I've been so invested in this case the last 6 weeks, and to find out how close he is to us and that one of our friends found him and arrested him is just crazy. The source has even more overlap, whose family, I think what's interesting is after the event, he first returned to teaching at Washington State University, but later drove 2,000 miles from Idaho to Pennsylvania in order to hide out at his parents' Poconos home. Now, maybe he was just going there as like a vacation spot, to be honest with you. I don't know. We don't know yet about that. So, I want to be careful as I cover this, not to take the media's bias or presumptions until we know for a fact. This guy could have thought he got away with it and went on vacation over Christmas. Police ran his tail during the cross-country road trip and continued to follow him in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, where he was ultimately locked up. According to one of the students in his class, he acted as if nothing had happened after the events took place. He also worked as a teaching assistant there. Even more. So the idea that so what's crazy to me, is what DNA did he leave there? Perhaps it was from defending themselves. That's one of the things I've learned in following a lot of these cases and a lot of things like this. Fight back as much as you can. Get your hands in their hair. Get their skin under your fingernails, because that's how a lot of these guys get caught. You might not make it, but that'll be crucial in them finding the person that did it. Is that exhausted, Bryan got chattier after the events. Here's also an interesting thing. Local cops, not aware, I think, of the investigation, stopped him twice during his road trip. Now, maybe they just pulled him over almost back to back. I believe once for speeding and once for following too closely to a car in front of him. I'm surprised he didn't have a complete meltdown when he got pulled over. You know, and it's absolutely insane. His parents have spoken out too. But here's some interesting other news. Here's some other interesting news. Did the parents know? Idaho's suspect's father flew to Washington State to accompany his son on 2,000-mile cross-country road trip back home to Pennsylvania in the white Hyundai Elantra, the vehicle that they were looking for. Maybe the dad didn't know. You know, I don't know. The father of the suspect flew cross-country road trip weeks after the incident. Of course, his public defender revealed that the 28-year-old student at Washington State did not make the 2,000-mile journey back to his home alone. Maybe that's why he was asking if anyone else was arrested. He was spotted with his father in the white Hyundai Elantra. Police were on the hunt for, including at a car maintenance shop in Pennsylvania. He was home for the holidays, public defender said. Doesn't look like it. And what's interesting is, like, of course, you know, they say he does not have the funding to get a private attorney. Surveillance footage on the night showed the white Hyundai Elantra near the home at the time at 3 a.m. Here's the other thing. This stuff, like, he gets away with this in 1990, probably. 1980, probably gets away with it. Because it's like, you needed, a doorbell cam or something like that to find the car, and then you needed DNA. Although they did have DNA in the 90s. Kohberger's family addressed the charges on Sunday and asked people to refrain from judgment, writing, "We will continue to let the legal process unfold as a family. We will love and support our son and brother," the family wrote. "First and foremost, we care deeply for the 4 families who have lost their precious children. There are no words that can adequately express the sadness we feel, and pray for each of them every day. We have fully cooperated with law enforcement agencies in an attempt to seek the truth and promote his presumption of innocence rather than judge unknown facts and make erroneous assumptions." I'm sure it sounds like it was written by a lawyer, right? I don't even know. Imagine this was your son or your brother or even your friend. Like, you know, I want to say that, you know, their parents didn't know at any point, but we saw this with Gabby. I'm pretty sure the guy's parents figured something out, or he told them something, because they seemed like they were kind of, you know, protective of him or hiding certain facts. Now, his parents didn't live with him, and, you know, I don't want to implicate the parents in any way, but it seemed like it was so weird, because it seemed like it just went from nothing to nothing to nothing to nothing to got him. You know, and right now people are still wondering, was there an accomplice? Because he asked, was anyone else arrested? I don't think there was an accomplice here. I think that would be, you know, unless they each picked a floor, but there was only one weapon, we know, and there was only one, you know, so like there were a lot of details about the scene that did not seem to align with the fact that there was more than one person there. You usually can tell that. The fact that this guy apparently never slept. A lot of his neighbors said that he was never sleeping at night. He did get to seem a lot chattier into the later parts of the term, the fellow criminal justice doctoral student told News Nation. However, he didn't recall him speaking specifically about that incident, which rocked the University of Idaho's community. He described the suspect as awkward, but the kind of person who always wanted to make sure everyone knew he was very intelligent, so douchebag. He had to make absolutely sure you knew he was smart. He had this intellectual capacity. Roberts told the outlet. It was also disturbing that his former classmate was the person who ended up being the suspect. There's something heavy about that. Maybe. There's going to be so much more, because here's what's probably going to happen. He probably dated one of them, or they probably rejected him. It seems like these losers always have some sort of issue like that. We saw the case where he was like creeping out, or you know, some girls rejected him at a brewery or something like that, and like he lashed out at them. You know, I don't know. You know, I think that you see, like, you have all sorts of stuff that he was studying forensics, DNA, and other evidence prosecutors used to secure convictions. I mean, that's part of a lot of what he was studying is just part of, you know, normal stuff. This is Bryan Kohberger's unsettling red flags. The suspect's former classmates speak out. Apparently, he never slept. He was up all night. He was manic. You know, he's normally a very late night person, going to the bathroom and vacuuming at 1 or 12 in the morning, she said. If you're vacuuming at midnight, you probably are a psychopath. I'll keep covering this as long as we, you know, at least the important stuff. I mean, you see this, there's like links with BTK, which is very odd. You know, you have Carrie Rawson, the daughter of Radar, who's better known as BTK, said it was possible that there were letters between her father and Bryan. Yikes. He was writing letters to another serial monster. She fears that Kohberger could have been in contact with her father after discovering that he had been taught by Dr. Catherine Ramsland while at DeSales University. Ramsland had declined to comment, but spent decades researching this type of thing, writing the mind of, you know, and how to catch a killer, stuff like that. Maybe. I mean, it seems like it's a stretch, but if you're going to do these crimes, maybe he reached out. This story is going to unfold a lot this week because I believe his extradition is today or tomorrow. So we're going to start to see some interesting stuff and perhaps have a trial to cover. So this will be an interesting thing into the new year to stay close on, because there's so much more to know. I hope you're informed by this video. If you were, make sure you subscribe down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.